Drum roll. They sent us the schedule ahead of time, and it'll be out here on Big Ten Network a little after 12 o'clock. And basically, the impetus for this is the 2020 season was impacted obviously by COVID, and they had to move some games around and change some opponents and dates. And I'm not entirely certain why they feel the need to uproot all the future schedules, but the way I understand it, anything that's been put out for future Big Ten schedules is still TBD. So it could get ripped up, and they have ripped up the 2022 schedule. I can tell you that the non conference is going to remain the same. They're going to play Notre Dame September the 3rd as of now. I asked Gene Smith about that, if it's a possibility that a network could ask them to move it either to Sunday or Monday that weekend because it's Labor Day. I doubt they would want to move it to Labor Day. They did that with Virginia Tech a few years ago in 2015, and it almost ruined the season. They had to play another game 5 days later against Hawaii, and it just kind of put them behind the eight ball from the beginning of the season, and it didn't go very well. But possibly Sunday night, I don't know. But at any rate, September 3rd, September 10th, Arkansas State, September 17th is Toledo. So those three games will remain the same. Beyond that, they are still going to play the same 9 teams that they were originally scheduled. They've just changed the dates, it appears, on 4 or 5 of these games. Some of them will remain the same. To me, I think the two biggest changes that I see is on October 1st, they were supposed to play at Penn State. That game has now moved to the end of October, where it's kind of become a regular occurrence at the end of October now. The game at Penn State, which again will be a weekend when Fox has got the World Series, if there is baseball, so it'll be up to ABC or ESPN to make that a whiteout. It was a whiteout. It was a whiteout. It was a whiteout, and they got their asses smoked like they usually do when Ohio State comes to town. But that's my one funny joke on their little music that they play there with their nice little whiteout that they have. But October 29th, and it gives maybe a little bit better spacing. They were supposed to be they flipped the off weekend. The off weekend was supposed to be October 22nd, the week before. Now they play Iowa at home on October 22nd. So that's 2 tough games back to back, but that's probably about the only real bad back to back, I think, for Ohio State this season. You really got to like November, kind of a soft finish to this season. At Northwestern, November 5, November 12, Indiana at home, November 19 at Maryland, and then back home November 26th for the traditional finale against Michigan. That game remained unchanged. So really, you have 3 weeks of 500 or thereabouts opponents, Northwestern, Indiana, Maryland, leading into Michigan. You don't have a situation where you're playing a tough opponent the week before Michigan. So not a lot of changes with this thing. Again, there was rumors, as we talked about at the onset of the show, that maybe they were going to dump Northwestern for Ohio State and put Illinois on there. That did not happen. And so they'll still play at Northwestern November the 5th, which I prefer that. I'd rather go to Northwestern than Champaign, Illinois. So not a lot of changes to this thing. Still one of the great home schedules in Ohio State history. When you talk about Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Iowa, and then Michigan at the end. And of course, then the other 3 games, Arkansas, Toledo, and Indiana as well. So just a great home schedule for Ohio State. It looks like they play Rutgers at home as well. So 4 tough ones, 4 manageable ones, and a great schedule for Ohio State 2022.
Steve, do we think that these changes to the Ohio State schedule are basically other teams in the Big Ten had to be addressed and they were the focus?
Yeah.
And then the Ohio State was just a domino effect
Yeah.
of what had to happen.
Particularly when the Illinois thing is about the only glaring thing that happened for Ohio State, because they don't play Illinois very often. And I think the last time they played them was JT Barrett's last year in 2016. And then in 2020, it gets canceled. Didn't play him this past year. We're supposed to play him in 2020. So you figured, well, maybe they would find a way to put them on this schedule. But apparently that's not what this redesign was meant to do. And I honestly can't understand what their purpose was in doing this. Maybe they'll explain it here at 12 o'clock on Big Ten Network a little better. But they've revamped the schedule. It is what it is. It's really not that big a deal. It doesn't appear. You know, for people in Columbus, September 24 was supposed to be a road game at Michigan State. It's now a featured home game with Wisconsin. So it kind of changes the dates that the hotels and the hospitality community in and around the campus are going to have to be on guard per se. Same thing. October 1 was supposed to be the road game at Penn State. Now it's home with Rutgers. So a couple weekends there where they were supposed to be away are now home weekends, and really it sets it up. 5 home games to open the season. It appears they won't go on the road until October the 8th at Michigan State. So, man, that's kind of a crazy way to open the season. And 5 straight weeks, the people in the hotel and restaurant business and the bar business around campus are going to be worn down by week 5. But that's how it's going to be.
All right. Steve gives us the rundown on the new revised Ohio State schedule for 22. Steve, where can people find you?
Bucknuts.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and Twitter at Steve Hellwagon. And again, just trying to get my arms wrapped around this offseason, coaching changes and possible transfers and different things like that. Just every day waking up and trying to react to whatever that day's events are. And if the coaching staff is status quo, I guess that remains to be seen. There have been rumors that Kerry Combs or Larry Johnson, one or the other or both, would be out. But as of right now, Larry Johnson, it appears, still hanging in, and jury's still out on Kerry Combs. Is Jim Knowles going to decide to keep him around as a secondary coach, or does he have his eye on somebody kind of like what Ryan Day just did with the offensive line job, to go out and get somebody he is familiar with to work with him and run the secondary? So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one.